Okay, now that I've got the power issue fixed and my computer's working the way it's supposed to be, now maybe I can complete my duty as show prep for the rest of the heathen community because I am the one that gets it right and everyone else is figuring it out. Most of the time because they're reading it off of the internet. This is the kind of thing that frustrates me the most. Let's review this one. Because here's the thing, and I would love to get Tyr, the son of Odin and the half brother of Balder, Thor, and Heimdall. That's wildly incorrect. Wildly inaccurate. Nothing can be further from the truth, and it's clearly outlined in the tale where Thor goes and secures the mile-wide cauldron for Aegir's feast from Tyr's father when they go fishing. He is also the husband of the harvest goddess Zisa. This is correct. The couple may or may not have had children together. This represents an idea that what would that god of war and the goddess of a harvest, okay, what would their son be? What would he contribute to this beauty of this spirituality and religion to the world? Here's the part that drives me nuts. Tyr is a Norse god of law, justice, and heroic glory. He is not a law of God, of justice and law by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, he is specifically known as not a reconciler of men. So there we go. There's the show prep for the rest of the heathen community. And now that I've restarted my computer and got on the same page, let's go talk about the outline of what it looks like for a society to destroy itself. Because it's very clearly written here, and it's just as clear as a bell and pretty as peach. A lot of people won't understand it. A lot of people won't like it. And I really don't care because I'm not here to create a namby-pamby, hold your hand kind of deal. I'm here to create that idea of building a spirituality that holds and harnesses the power of these spiritualities and what mankind is capable of, and not to the lowest common denominator, because that seems to be the prevalent thought process and mindset of today's world. What is the lowest common denominator we can go by to build something? That's not going to help anybody. I know, right? Thank you, Jeremy. Glad you're here. The Thrimskivitha, right? So let's go over this a little bit. I think you'll enjoy it as much as I enjoy talking about it, because it's not one that's very talked about very often. And sometimes, if it is, it's usually talked about by certain elements of society that would celebrate the inability to live up to the measure of what it means to be a man. And believe you me, it is not an easy measure to achieve, right? No one wants to talk about it, but that's just how it is. Yep. You are in it on your own. Now, here's the Thamskavitha. Is one of the best, as it is next to the Voluspa, the most famous of the entire collection. Well, there's a reason for that. It has indeed been called the finest ballad in the world. Oh, we're in trouble then. And not without some reason. Its swift, vigorous action, the sharpness of its characterization, and the humor of the central situation combined to make it one of the most vivid, short narrative poems ever composed. Are we sure that it's humor? Of course, you know nothing specific of its author, though he most undoubtedly saw what happened to the Greek and Roman empires. There can be no question that he was a poet of extraordinary ability, as many of these were. The poem assumed its present form, most critics agree, somewhere around 900, and thus it is one of the oldest in the collection. So right there, we know it's been talked about for centuries before it was compiled on paper by individuals we know as Gothies, chieftains, and those that preside over the all thing. This was the foundation of law. And thus it is one of the oldest in the collection. It has been suggested on the basis of stylistic similarity that its author may have also composed the Skirnis Mál and possibly Balder's drama. There is also some resemblance between Thrimskvitha and the Lokasana. There's an interesting point to take. Note, in this connection, Boog, Sophus Boog, B-U-G-G-E, who is typically wildly incorrect with his interpretations of such things, And I don't care that he has a degree. All he knows is how to regurgitate what someone has told him and get the appropriate A from the department head, who will only offer that A because he has accepted government money from the governments to fund the research. It is not impossible that all 4 poems have a single author. Now, in this connection, Sophie's book suggests that the Skirnismal and the Loksana may have been by the same man. Okay, good. That means there's some similarity there. There's a reason he's telling it. And it may not necessarily be for the humorous effect. Is there a funny story in the Bible that I'm not aware of? Is there a funny story in the Bhagavad Gita that we need to be aware of? Well, I think there should be a funny story in our faith, shouldn't there? That would serve the best purpose overall, is that we have, you know what this needs? It's like somebody that moves into a new house, and the first thing they think of is, you know what this house needs? It needs a box of shit. Let's get a cat. Same thing with our faith. You know what all these tales need? They need a funny story so people can laugh around the fire. And let's forget if there might be any kind of significant instruction in this. Frustrates the hell out of me that people look at this like it's, well, we'll have a funny story in our spirituality so we can laugh and we can have good buddy Thor on our side. Or even better, we might really understand Loki. Shut the fuck up. It's in excellent condition without any serious gaps or interpolations, so that means they didn't fool with it very much. In striking contrast to many of the poems, it contains no prose narrative links. The story being told in narrative verse, a very rare phenomenon in the poems of the Edda. So wild was Vingthor when he awoke, and when his mighty hammer was missed. He shook his beard, his hair was bristling as the son of Yorth about him sulked. So he has a case of the red ass because somebody has stolen his hammer. Now this is interesting. I want you to see what happens here. Hear now the speech that first he spake. Hearken, Loki. He already got an idea who did it, the guy that does it every damn time. And heed my words. Nowhere on earth is it known to man, nor in heaven above, our hammer is stolen. To the dwelling fair of Freya they went. Hear now the speech that first he spake. Wilt thou, Freya, thy feather dress lend me, that so my hammer I may seek? Freya spake. Mine should it be, though of silver bright, and I would give it 'twere of gold. Then Loki flew, and the feather dressed word, until he left behind him the home of the gods, and reached at last the realm of the giants. Wonder who's pestering me now. Must be important. No? Right? Freya, Njord's daughter, the sister of Frey, right? Freya's house was Sessfimnir, rich in seats. That's something we need to consider. Her house was rich in seats. Built in Folkvang, the field of the folk. This is a beautiful idea of afterlife. The feather dress. This flying equipment of Freya is also used in the story of Thialzi, wherein Loki again borrows the hawk's dress of Freya, this time to rescue Idun, who he got trapped there. Okay? But she would give it to him, even though it's silver, even if it were made of gold. This is generosity. This is the generosity of people that show up at your house. Thrym sat on a mound, the giant's master, leashes of gold he laid for his dogs, and stroked and smoothed the manes of his steed. Thrym spake, how fare the gods, how fare the elves? Why comest thou alone to the giants' land? Thrym spake, I have hidden Gloriathe's hammer 8 miles down deep in the earth, and again back again shall no man bring it, if Freya I win not to be my wife. Well, Loki's been in this position before and he screwed it up. Then Loki flew in the feather dressed word till he left behind him the home of the giants and reached at last the realm of the gods. There in the courtyard Thor he met. Hear now the speech first he spake. This is an interesting thing. Thrym is a frost giant. Thor's hammer's disappeared. Y'all ever think about the fact there's no thunderstorms in winter? So we have a seasonal opportunity here. We have something that happens commonly. Oh, but a great solution must be found for a common occurrence. So much ado is made over something. Why, they've borrowed the feather dress from Freya. They've sought her attention. Now they're going to talk the goddess into love into something that they're going to try to pimp her out. Well, this ain't going to work. That's a goddess of love, not your personal whore. All right? But she stands her ground. No, 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 no. So here we have a situation where a society that is undergoing the standard rotation of the seasons, or perhaps even global warming. I mean, something like that would apply too. There's a parallel to be drawn there. Well, the Earth is not as warm as it typically is, but it has warmed up a little bit in the past. Let's make a carbon tax. Let's go carbon neutral. Let's create an environmental frenzy and hubbub and pay the scientists to say what we need to say. We'll fund their research if they agree with our path, and we'll go from there. Amazing. Hast thou find tidings as well as trouble? Well, shit, yeah, he has. Thy news in the air shalt thou utter now. Oft doth the sitter his story forget, and lies he speaks who lays himself down. So better spill the beans right now, because you're not going to drift off and make this nonsense up after you wake up. I want to hear about it now. Loki spake, trouble I have and tidings as well. 3, the king of the giants keeps thy hammer. Again, a natural process of the weather. There are no thunderstorms in winter. Now I know somebody smart ass is going to say, well, every now and again there is. Yeah, every now and again there are, but not very often. It's a standard thing, right? Trouble I have and tidings as well. And back again shall no man bring it if Freya he wins not to be his wife. Freya the fair they went to find. Hear now the speech that first he spake. Bind on Freya the bridal veil, for we too must haste to the giant's home. Wrathful was Freya, and fiercely she snorted, and the dwelling great of the gods was shaken. Whoo, son, I want you to pay attention to what she said there. So now they're going to get this woman to get this goddess to get them out of a situation that is a natural occurrence in the world. And the dwelling great of the gods was shaken as fiercely she snorted. Well, fortunately, there wasn't social media in that day and age to say you need to wear a mask, or you need to reduce your carbon footprint, or some other fanciful nonsense that we typically come across. So right here we have this half-truth that's very difficult to defend against, but we're going to expect as a culture some kind of significant change to support and empower this half-truth. What a fraud, what a failure. The dwelling great of the gods was shaken, and burst was the mighty Brising's necklace. Most lustful indeed shall I look to all if I journey with thee to the giant's home. She tells him right there, listen here, you're not going to change who I am because of what you think is really a problem. Why aren't we all doing that? Why aren't we as a society doing the same thing? Most lustful indeed should I look to all if I journey with thee to the giant's home. What she's saying is, I'm not going to change who I am to benefit what you perceive to be a problem that I know is a natural course of things. I am not going over there. Right? Then were the gods together met, and the goddesses came and council held, and the far-famed ones that planned would find how they might Hlorith's hammer win. So all this hubbub is being erased because in the wintertime, the hammer is gone. Then Heimdall spake, the wisest of the gods, like the Wains, he knew the future well. Bind we on Thor the bridal veil. Let him bear the mighty Brisingen's necklace. Keys around him, let him rattle, and down to his knees hang woman's dress, with gems full broad upon his breast, and a pretty cap crown his head. Then the mighty Thor his answer made, me would the gods unmanly call if I've let them bind the bridal veil. Then Loki spake, the son of Laufey, be silent, Thor, and speak not thus. Else will the giants in Asgard dwell if thy hammer is brought not home to thee. So Heimdall, who's supposed to be looking out for everybody, has created this idea where we're going to emasculate the most masculine aspect of the society. And then the aspect of the social media, the ego unbridled, the unchecked, wrathful tongue of this son of a bitch. It's not going to get punched in the nose for saying whatever he thinks online. It's going to come up with this idea, be silent, Thor, and speak not thus, else will the giants in Asgard dwell. Oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. The sky is falling. We better dress this most masculine idea up as a man. What happens to this society that puts forth this idea on a perceived problem? That might not really be a problem. It gets destroyed. You understand what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm talking about here? When you take the man out of society, eventually all of those wounds, all of that weakness, all of that nonsense that comes to pass, that society's destroyed. So they do it anyway because, well, I saw it online. I knew it had to be done. We've got to dress this most masculine idea of manhood up as a woman and send him on his way so he can bring back the hammer in wintertime. Again, there are no thunderstorms in winter. Occasionally there are. More often than not, there aren't. So there's much ado about nothing. Somebody suggested it, probably as a joke. And somebody took it serious, as it might be written. Well, we need to have a carbon tax, and we need to subsidize wind energy and solar energy. Solar energy I'm good with. Wind energy is a bill of goods. We need to shut down all the coal plants because it's going to ruin the atmosphere. Coal has been burning for 100 years, 200 years. Well, we have all this, the global warming. Better look at the long term. That's also a lie. Yeah, we have all of this wonderful ideas about, well, we need to do this and we need to do that. We need to go down to the lowest common denominator, and masculinity doesn't need to be celebrated anymore because we live in a civilized world. Oh, go down to that border in Mexico, see how civilized it is. Go on, I'll wait. It's like the flat earthers. Go ahead, sail to the edge and show me a picture. Go on, I'll wait. It is about the money, and it is about our destruction. See, what you got to understand is that I saw this the other day, and I'm full in agreement with it. DE&I is not about equality. It's not about the equality of opportunity. It's about tipping the scales for the equality of outcome. And much ado will be made about issues that are not issues. Oh, let them wail, let them, and there'll be much wailing and gnashing of teeth over individuals that don't like what I'm saying, and yet there's a body of scientific evidence that proves it. None of the global warming models take into account the solar forcing of the sun. Not a single one of them even take into account how the sun affects this planet. Are you shitting me? Ah, but hush, be silent. Speak not thus. Else the next thing you know, there'll be giants, and as we'll have a new ice age. Can you see the parallels here? This was put on paper in 900. Are you shitting me? And we can't read this and use this as a spirituality? We got to, well, there's not a pretty picture with it, and it doesn't fit the narrative. And I'm going to read what I read online. Okay. So now we're going to emasculate the most masculine thing about Asgard. And well, one's already lost his hand because of his own inner things going on, and he finally had to get intact. Just like the alcoholic, he's probably a damn good man, but his best years are behind him once he decides to sober up. Health is ruined. Now things are changing. Now things are bad. Now he's not the warrior he used to be. Now we're going to dress up the god of thunder as a woman. Then bound today they on Thor the bridal veil, and next to the mighty Persingage gem. Keys around him they let rattle. And down to his knees hung women's dress, with gems full broad upon his breast, and a pretty cap to crown his head. Then Loki spake, the son of Laufey. Notice they said the son of Laufey, not in association with any of the Aesir here. This is an outsider. This is someone that's a part of the crew, but has never really justified or lived up to their seat at the table. The son of Laufey. As thy maidservant thither, I will go with thee. We two shall haste to the giant's home. Well, he's more than what he's already decided he can be a woman horse. So this is par for the course here. All the secret things that, now they can come back to light because the most masculine image is now in a dress. Congratulations. You're free. You're equality. They deserve to be loved, don't they? And then home to the goats to the hall were driven. They wrenched at the halters, swift were they to run. The mountains burst, earth burned with fire, and Othin's son sought Jotunheim. because something's been forced upon him that's not his natural state of being. Then spake Thrym, the giants' leader, bestir ye giants, put straw on the benches. Right? Now Freya they bring to be my bride, the daughter of Njorth out of Noatan. Golden horned cattle go to my stables, jet black oxen, the giant's joy, many my gems and many my jewels. Freya alone did I lack, methinks. I got everything in the world but a good woman. Well, that might not necessarily complete what you think it's going to complete. Early it was to evening come, and forth was born the beer for the giants. Thor alone ate an ox and ate salmon. Well, if I'm going to eat it, I'm going to eat it. All the dainties as well that were set for the women, and drank Sif's mate 3 tons of mead. My goodness, not very ladylike. I've seen that happen a dozen times. They're not living up to their image very well at all, are they? Then loud spake Thrym, the giant's leader, whoever saw a bride more keenly bite? I never saw a bride with a broader bite, nor a maid who drank more mead than this. He got him a good woman, doesn't he? He got him a match. Come on. Yeah. Hard by there sat the serving maid wise. So well she answered the giant's words. Now somebody else is talking for him. From food has Freya 8 nights fasted. So hot was her longing for Jotunheim. Well, let's make up some kind of narrative to justify all this, shall we? Thrym looked beneath the veil, for he longed to kiss, but back he leaped the length of the hall. Why are so fearful the eyes of Freya? Fire, methinks, from her eyes doth burn. Hard by there sat the serving maid Mise, so well she answered the giant's word. No sleep has Freya for 8 nights found. So hot was her longing for Jotunheim. Another lie. Soon came the giant's luckless sister, who feared not to ask the bridal fee. From thy hand the rings of red gold take, if thou wouldst win my willing love and welcome glad. Then loud spake Thrym, the giant's leader, bring in the hammer to hallow the bride. On the maiden's knees let Mjolnir lie, that us both the hand of Vor may bless. For the goddess that oversees oaths. So I'm going to say something right here. Hollow, just what this means is not clear. Well, fuck, it's pretty damn clear to me. Reference to other kinds of consecrations, though not of a bride, with the sign of the hammer. According to Big Fusham, the hammer was the holy sign with the heathens, answering to the cross of the Christians. In Snorri's story of Thor resuscitation of his cooked goat, the god hallows the goat with his hammer. One of the oldest runic signs supposed to have magic power was named Thor's hammer. Vor, the goddess of vows, particularly between men and women. So here's the thing about that. There's an interesting, we need to understand. The cross was not the holy sign of the Christians for the first 600 years of the church. Easter happens when it does, because the sun returns the spring warmth to the world when it rises in Aries, the sign of the Lamb. The Lamb, therefore, being the Lamb of God. The Lamb was the symbol for the Christian for the first 600 years. There are church fathers that railed against the introduction of the cross because there were so many pagan deities that were demonstrated to have been crucified on the cross. That leads you to the interesting observation that every single story in the Bible is a modern recitation, interpretation of a much, much older pagan tale. I wrote about it explicitly in my book, Beneath a Sacred Tree. If you haven't picked it up yet, I highly recommend you do, because it explains all of it in great detail. So, in the heart and the breast of Hlorrithi laughed, when the hard-souled one his hammer beheld. First Thrym, the king of the giants, he killed. Then all the folk of the giants he felled. The giant's sister old he slew, she who had begged of the bridal fee. A stroke she got in the shilling stead, and for many rings the might of the hammer. And so his hammer got Odin's son. So the society that accepted that emasculated male was destroyed in a fell swoop. Everybody see the picture of what's going on? Our spirituality and our faith pointed it out centuries ago. And yet aspects of that nonsense continually pervade the society. I'm not talking about I think I was pretty clear in everything I said, and I'll stand by those words. I've written those words, and they're published in books. I believe it's in A Drink from Mimer's Well, A Drink of Wisdom. These interesting comparisons run the gamut of everything that we're doing today. There's nothing new under the sun. There is no special occurrence that's happening that we can't understand. The turn of the last century, with the onset of the automobile and the bustling of New York City, people were terrified. The streets of New York would be overfilled with horse shit if we don't adopt the automobile. Now, if we don't adopt the electric vehicle, the skies will turn black and the earth will warm up and everything will drown. Nothing new is happening under the sun. The one thing we do need to remember, though, is that we don't have to accept ideas and principles that run against the grain, that run against the true nature of things. And our spirituality is the foundation that allows us to celebrate in this world, that foundation. Now, you're going to be nice to people, be nice people. I don't really give a shit what anybody's going through. Go through it. I'm going to be polite. Right? But the emasculation of the male child today, they're drugging them down. They're giving them pills. You got to be nice. You got to be nice. You can't do that. Cut them in the damn playground and let them run fucking amok for a minute, beat each other up, let them get out of their shit. Oh, we got to be nice. Some parent will get upset. Well, that shit parent probably needs to bust his ass so he learns how to act right in public. Instead, we keep letting other people make the decisions about what is best, what is most qualified for our lives. And they're coming out sounding like Loki. Speak not thus. We'll never get the hammer back. Oh, I bet he'd get it back. But the society that accepts that idea of radical emasculation is destroyed fairly quickly. The other one that suggests it and promotes it because of some false narrative, well, it's a long, slow fall, isn't it? And then the greatest and the most beautiful of beings are also destroyed. What a shame. What a sad thing. And yet that wheel, that cycle has continued again and again throughout the ages and will continue to be that way again. The strength of our spirituality allows us to understand that cycle and allows us to survive it. Because most assuredly, part of this survived the Younger Dryas impact event. Before that, Neanderthals and Homo sapiens living next to each other in Europe, the Vanir and the Aesir. Great tales of migrations moved across the continent, great wars, people, power, riches. And yet even then they knew that if a man's not a man in your community, you're not going to last long in the world. That's just the way it is. So embrace your masculinity. Period. Because that's the thing that stands in the door when someone comes to enter your home, to take from you what is rightfully yours, who decides to perhaps maybe trample upon your rights, who decides perhaps to, I don't know, make you wear a mask, make you get a shot, make you believe that whatever they're saying on the news might really be happening, is really worth changing the entire aspect of who and what you are. So someone can feel good about what's going on and make a little money on our backs. Yeah. At any rate, I'm done for this evening. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to talk to you. Most of you have my phone number. If you don't, all you got to do is shoot me a message and I'll be happy to talk with you. 8 o'clock, I will be on Zoom call doing my Gothy program where we are going over mental health first aid. Because the Gothys that come from my program will be the kind of men and women who are capable of helping individuals navigate these nonsensical issues, as well as helping them handle the stress of life. based upon our faith and spirituality. Thanks, Jeremy, for always being there, man. I appreciate you. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Tomorrow's Monday. Grab it by the nose and whip its ass.